Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Excuse me. And for those of you on YouTube, apparently I am streaming, but I cannot see uh, the stream updating, and I may or may not be able to see chat. So uh, I'll watch chat. I'll if I see anything, I'll respond. Otherwise, I'll be watching chat in Discord. So again, welcome to Options with Doug. And before I go any further, let me go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And as a reminder, the focus of my presentation and the focus of the Options with Doug chat room and Discord is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and that is based on positional analysis. And I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And other traders may use technical analysis or fundamental analysis. I think positional analysis is a new way of looking at the market, and I believe it provides an edge. And the second part of my process is execution. And I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups. And on topic questions and comments are welcome, both during my presentation as well as anytime. So again, please review the focus of this channel and make sure your questions and comments are on topic, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, so what I want to cover today is first of all talk about news, some news data that came out this morning and that is coming out tomorrow. And then I'll go over position analysis and then finally talk about setups. And what I want to do today is focus more on setups. I've actually got my data issue worked out. So I have DX feed data for stocks now, and there were some great setups both in the S&P 500 and stocks today. So I'm going to go through the news and the positional analysis pretty quickly and get to setups. So first of all, news. And this is, I just want to see one other thing. This is what just came out. So we'll look at this in just a minute. That'll explain that sharp bounce higher in the S&P 500. So today, this morning, first was the ADP employment change, and it came in much higher than expected. And hold on, let me bump up my cursor size. And so this is the ADP employment change. Forecast 150 came in at 235,000. So much higher than expected. So in this case, good news was bad news. And we'll look at the S&P 500 in just a minute and see the reaction to this news. As well as the jobless claims. This came in a little bit less than expected. And then finally, at 9:45, PMI data came out. That was slightly better than expected, but still less than 50. So that means it's in the contraction range. Okay, so that was the data that came out this morning. And then what I was just looking at was this Fed commentary, Fed Bullard. Looking at this right here. Oh, well, let's see. Actually, I think this is the comment. Well, both of these really. So inflation is likely to slow. Expectations are in line, and I guess Fed policy will soon be restrictive with additional hikes. All right, so let's go take a look now at the S&P 500. And this is that sharp jump higher with Bullard's comments. And notice where price reverses higher. This is SPX 3800, and this level has definitely been in play today. You can see it has acted as support multiple times today. This is again the SPX 3800, and that is the Spotgamma put wall, and noted as support. And it has been acting as support for a while now. We'll look at a little bit longer term chart of SPX and see how that level has been in play. So price has been testing that level, but has not seriously broken lower with any significance. So here's the reaction. I'm just going to the news this morning. This is the 8:15 ADP report, and then the 8:30 jobless claims, and that kind of set the tone for the open, RTH open, down to the first test of the 3800 put wall. And let me just clarify what I'm looking at here. I have two columns in my Bookmap chart. This is the Spotgamma cloud notes, and these are showing SPX levels and SPX and SPY combo levels. And then I have my own notes here, the C levels, and I put in the support and resistance levels noted in the Spotgamma AM Founders note, and also significant SPY levels. There's the SPY 380 put wall, and then also big round numbers in ES, the zeros and the 50s. So you can see this is a very news-driven market, and the algos are listening closely for the news, or watching closely for the news, and react pretty quickly. Okay, and then just one more thing about the news. Tomorrow is another big report, the employment situation at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and then there's more ISM PMI data out at 10 a.m. Okay, so I've already started on positional analysis a bit, but I'm showing the relevant levels, support and resistance levels, and Spotgamma levels on the chart here. And again, 3,800 is the significant level. And that is, again, the Spotgamma put wall, and it is expected to act as support. Now, regarding shifts in levels, this is one thing that I look at to develop a directional bias. The SPX put wall increased from 3,700 to 3,800, and I interpret that as bullish. And for SPY, if you recall yesterday, the SPY data shown in the founder's note was wrong. There was some sort of data error. So we did look at the data in Equity Hub, and that data appeared to be correct, and it looks like, based on what I see today, it was. So the SPY hedge wall increased from 380 to 385. And let's just go to SPY. And the call wall increased from 383 to 390, and the put wall increased from 370 to 380. And so the put wall has definitely been in place, and it looks like the volume is really concentrated between the 379 and 380 level today in SPY. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500 charts. And we can confirm those levels. So this is SPX absolute gamma levels. The teal lines below zero show negative gamma or put gamma, and the black lines above zero show call gamma or positive gamma. And there's the 3,800 level that has acted as support. And then 4,000 is the call wall and the absolute gamma strike. So the put wall is the strike with the largest net negative gamma. It's expected to act as support. And the call wall is the strike with the largest net positive gamma, and it's expected to act as resistance. And then finally, the absolute or key gamma strike is the strike with the highest absolute gamma. So that is SPX. Here's SPY. And 380 is the biggest strike on the board here, and that is the call wall as well as the key gamma strike, the put wall, I'm sorry. The put wall and the key gamma strike. And let's take a quick look at data. And I'm going to look at gamma notional. And the reason I look at that is to understand how market makers are positioned in the options market and how they might react. So what I'm looking at is gamma notional, and it's negative for both SPX and SPY. And this indicates that market makers, well, first of all, traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and their position is on the negative portion of the gamma curve. And this means that they have to sell futures as price drops to hedge their delta exposure, since they're short puts. And as price increases, they can buy back those short futures. So this is just to get a sense of, again, how market makers are positioned, how they might react. So in this case, I'm expecting market makers to trade in the direction of price. And one last thing that I want to point out. Oh, the changes. So yesterday, SPX gamma notional was minus 496, and today it became less negative at minus 312. And yesterday there was an anomaly or a data error for SPY, and it didn't make sense, so I didn't, I just ignored that. So today, SPY is the gamma notional is minus 1271. All right, one other thing I want to take a look at. This is SPX. This is on Thinkorswim, just a candlestick chart here. And actually, I may be looking at Heikin Ashi candles. That doesn't make any difference for what I want to look at. So I'm looking at a 20-day, 1 hour period here. And the thing to point out is this narrow range for SPX. So SPX has been trading in this range since, looking at hovering over this date, that is 12/16. So the middle of December until today, SPX has been in this range with multiple tests of the 3800 level. And Spotgamma has talked about this in their daily reports, AM and PM, about this range. Now they're talking about 3800 to 3900. And if you look back here, that 3900, that was the top of the range. And it looks like the bottom of the range is a little bit lower at around 3775. So, more or less in the 3800 to 3900 range. So, eventually this will break. So, contraction leads to expansion, and expansion leads to contraction. So, eventually a catalyst will come along that will move SPX out of this range. Okay, let's take a look at some setups. Let me check YouTube and see if I can see any questions. Back to ES. Check YouTube. And let me test. All right, anyone on YouTube, if you can hear me or see my screen please type something in chat. Okay, no response in YouTube. Okay, I'm not sure what the problem is. I thought I had that resolved. So I will. Now apparently it is being recorded. There were recordings for the last 2 days, but I can't see the stream. So all right, let's go to setups now. And the first was ES and SPY, and I posted the first reversal higher setup this morning. Let me zoom in on that. And that was this setup right here. I'm going to zoom back a bit. So the setup, the first reversal at 3800, and again I posted this in Discord. And let's take a look at Hero now. Go to ES. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Let me just check. All right, so I've got a 1-day look back period. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And so what I was looking at, now this is Hero for the S&P 500 futures, and this is combining SPX and SPY options trades to show this Hero line. So again, it's a combination of SPX and SPY, and this is what I saw this morning. So traders were taking bullish or positive delta trades with options as price was falling, and when price reached that 3,800 level, expected to act as support, that's when price reversed higher. So this was a leading indicator. Nice divergent setup. And let's separate out, puts and calls. So really both driving. So traders were buying calls, and that may be a little bit more clear with the orange line here, showing traders buying calls and initially selling puts. And notice here, and this behavior is very typical in the S&P 500, and this is what makes Hero such a great indicator for the S&P 500 is the lead effect. Is what traders are doing is as price reaches low levels or moves towards lower levels, like the 3,800 put wall, traders start taking positive delta positions. Again, buying calls and selling puts, and price reverses at a level, again the 3,800 as expected, and then increases. So that was the first reversal higher setup, so the first bullish setup, and then at a certain point as price increases, they either sell those positions or take new negative delta positions, and price gets to a reversal point and then moves lower. So that pattern often repeats over and over again during the day. And as you can change the look back period to a shorter time frame, and you can see that that's more evident, especially in the afternoon or as time passes. After a few hours the market has been open. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap now. And again, there was the reversal lower at the 3,800 level. I'm going to zoom in on that. And notice the liquidity target was 38.55 here, and the round number target was 38.50, and that's where price reversed lower. And notice in the subchart here that there were some buy stops firing, and that's shown by the yellow line, the rising yellow line, and then also aggressive buyers, and that's shown by the pink to dark blue line. And you can also see all the green dots in there heading up to the final sweep at or the sweeps at 38.50. And then again, remember from Hero that Hero started dropping, and at that point you're just looking for a reversal point, and these two sweeps were your points to start looking for shorts. And again, in both instances you can see the shift from green dots to pink dots, especially right here. let's go back. And let's just take a look at Hero right now. I'm going to zoom all the way out. And I have a right now a 1 day, full day look back period on Hero, and I'll talk about when to zoom in and when you can look at a shorter look back period. I'll show some examples of that. So there's another kind of a long-term divergent setup. As price drops lower, traders start taking positive delta positions, and then price chopped around and tested the 3,800 level for some time, and then finally it looks like it really paid off with the Fed comments from Bullard. Okay, and let's just I'm going to leave it at that. Let's take a look at SPY, and SPY should be just about the same thing. So the SPY options trades have been, or I guess, really driving ES for a while now. Okay, so that SPY looks just like ES. The setups higher, lower, and then higher, and then finally pay off. All right, any questions? Yeah, I don't see any in Discord. Okay, let me just check YouTube one last time. And so nothing in YouTube. I'll try and work on that again. Okay, so additional setups. I'm going to look at some setups, nice setups that I saw this morning. And let me point out first, I'm going to go back to my daily notes here. And this is a spreadsheet that I keep every day. These are the stocks and symbols on my watch list. And I track the key gamma strike every day. And watching how that moves up or down can provide a very good starting point for a directional bias. And the things that I want to point out that we'll look at today, first of all, Meta. Notice the increase. The green indicates that the current key gamma strike, the key gamma strike for today, increased from yesterday, and that indicates bullish sentiment. Traders are taking positions higher up, and this is, these are longer-term positions. Most likely, most in the expiration tomorrow. But anyway, they're this is based on open interest, and traders are expressing their view that they expect price to move higher. And just the opposite with Microsoft. And I think Microsoft got a downgrade yesterday from an analyst, and then Snowflake as well. And this is kind of a double whammy here. Yesterday, the key gamma strike dropped, and today it dropped again another 5 points. and note the larger drop in Microsoft, and we'll take a look at Equity Hub and Microsoft and see that was not the only key daily level that dropped. So what I do with this information is, if I see these numbers, then I go into Equity Hub and do further research, and I'll show how that worked for Microsoft. All right, so let's go. I want to take a look at, let's go back to Equity Hub here. Oops, Equity Hub, I'm sorry, Hero. All right, so Meta. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So this is what I saw in the morning, leading to both bearish and bullish setups. Just Hero continued to drop, until about 1045, 1040, and that led to some good short setups. Not a lot of range, but every time Meta jumped up, it was a good time to short, with Hero dropping. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap now. And one of these days I'll remember to change my pointer. Now recall that Meta was, the key gamma strike increased 10 points for Meta. So the initial outlook would have been bullish. There were some short setups early in the morning. Let's go back to Hero now. So that was the first setup. But really the best setup was this reversal higher here around 1045. And more of a confirmation setup. Not much of there's really no lead there, just a confirmation setup. And again, if you had a bullish bias, you would just wait for this reversal higher. Okay, the next one is Microsoft. And I'm going to separate this out to show in the put and call transactions. And this is what I saw this morning. So unlike Meta, with a rising key gamma strike, the key gamma strike dropped on Microsoft. So my expectation was bullish for Meta and bearish for Microsoft. And actually I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's go to Equity Hub and look at Microsoft. So knowing that there was negative or bearish news about Microsoft, I see the key gamma strike drop 20 points, which is pretty significant. So I can go in and do some more research in Equity Hub here. And what I'm going to look at is the shifts in levels from yesterday, the 4th, today to today, the 5th. And I see that, yes, indeed, the key gamma strike did drop from 250 to 230. And in addition, the hedge wall dropped from 235 to 230. And the call wall dropped from 250 to 230. And then the put wall dropped as well. Okay, so that is definitely bearish for Microsoft. So let's go back now. So that would be the first step. Well, the first step in my process was the key gamma strike list, and then that led me to further research here on Microsoft and saw all the, not only did the key gamma strike drop, but the hedge wall, call wall, and pull wall also dropped. And so now let's go take a look at Hero again. And if you recall also, I posted my, with the new Hero dashboard, I can't post my entire watch list anymore. So I ranked it from weakest signal to the strongest signal and just showed the top portion of the weakest stocks. And both Snowflake and Microsoft were on that list. So taking a look at that list, that is the next clue. And then, again, seeing this call line dropping straight down, that's the next clue. And then finally, let's go back to Bookmap. Go to Microsoft. So here's the setup in Microsoft, and I'm kind of squeezed in a little bit because I want to show this 220 put wall and all the liquidity at that level. And if price had continued lower, maybe if Bullard had not made that comment, then price might have headed down towards this kind of obvious target here. But anyway, here's the setup. Remember that the call line was dropping, and this is the, from what I look at and the way I trade, this would be my setup. The sloping line down here, I guess, of the break of this wedge, a retest of the 224.50 level, and a couple short points again with the 220 put wall liquidity as a target. And let me take a look at some questions. Zen 550, I have discussed put walls and call walls extensively. I've tried to answer your questions. I would not put so much significance on those levels. If I put a link to the article that Spotgamma posted with their stats for the put walls and call walls, and I can't add any more than that. They have the stats. They show talk about what happens with with very detailed statistics, and I expect those levels. And by the way, the 3800 SPX 3800 is the put wall, and SPX 4000 is the call wall. There's only one put wall and only one call wall, and they can change from day to day. So I look at that, how they change from day to day. And Panamats, my preparation in the morning takes a while. I have requested a couple of features for Spotgamma that would speed that up, like showing the key gamma levels in cloud notes, just like Spotgamma does for ES, NQ, and RTY. And also I've requested that they color code the 5 daily key daily levels in the Equity Hub dashboard, green or red depending on whether the price increased or decreased from the previous day, to kind of replace my spreadsheet, so I could just look at the dashboard instead of recording that in the dashboard, and that would save me quite a bit of time. Okay, so again, at least I have my I'm using an add-on here that's available in the Bookmap marketplace called Price Lines, and it uses cloud notes. I fill out so the yellow levels are just the round numbers, and the red numbers are like the 5s and the 0s, and then I change the Spotgamma daily levels in my spreadsheet, and I mark those white with red numbers, and the line is white also, and then Price Lines draws the lines. So it takes some time to for all these stocks that I'm looking at, as well as ES and NQ, to fill that out. But I like to see those levels. It helps me. Okay, that was Microsoft. That was I thought a great setup. And now let's take a look at QQQ. And now Bullard looks like he made another comment. Okay, so let's take a look at QQQ. So this is what I was looking at this morning. And let's go. Yeah, Paul, I will get to Tesla. All right, so let's take a look at Hero now. Change this back. Let's go to QQQ. And one thing that I want to point out, when you see the Hero line kind of flat line like this, it's showing a cumulative effect for Hero since the beginning of the day, and that is not really providing much information. And that is when you can change this rolling window, the look back period, to a shorter time frame to provide more significance. So see how changing from the entire day to 30 minutes to 10 minutes adds more clarity about what is happening right now. So let's change this to 30 minutes. Normally, all right, so what I want to look at first is this divergence setup, both higher and lower. Well, actually, it was more of a divergence higher. Let's change to 10 minutes. And now we can see the divergence lower. So in certain cases, changing the look back period, the rolling window, helps. So here's what I'm looking at. Hero is increasing, price is falling, and that is the first long setup. And thanks, Paul. All right, let's take a look now at Bookmap. Go to QQQ. Let's zoom in. So here's that first setup, first long setup. Somewhat of a break of trend. Notice the shift from pink dots, market sells, to green dots, market buys, aggressive buyers, and then the final sweep into 264. And remember again that we'll go back to Hero. And one thing to keep in mind, I only have one screen to present. But on my computer, I have two screens, and I can see those simultaneously. So I don't have to jump back and forth on my computer. Again, I have two screens, and I can look at both screens at the same time. So this is, having only one screen to present makes this a little bit more awkward. But this is how I have to present. So going back to Hero, again, I have a 10-minute rolling window here. And so now, as price moves up to that 264 C3, and C3 is a combo level, QQQ and NDX, and 3 indicates it's in the middle of range of importance, 1 being the highest and 5 being the lowest. So the setup lower was, notice that Hero starts making lower highs as price continues up and then reverses lower. So divergent setups in QQQ, both lower and higher. All right, the next one that I want to look at is Snowflake. Make sure. Let's go back to 1 day on this. In this case, that 1 day is a little bit more clear. All right, I have Snowflake on my other computer, and give me just a moment to share my screen, and we'll take a look at that. All right, there's Snowflake. Nice short setup. Right here at this trend break. And notice all the green dots here. And trend break. Pink dots come in. Aggressive sellers. And price target at 120 liquidity. And I don't have the Spotgamma levels marked on these charts on my other computer. And let's just go back to Hero and see if that is a and it's showing the looks like all the key levels, put wall, key gamma strike, and hedge wall all at 130. So price is trading below those. And I'm going to change this. I have in my notes from this morning to take a look at a 10-minute look back period. And that's not really helping now. 30-minute, maybe. Let's go back to 10 minutes and then scroll in a bit. And also have my notes. Puts. So really, breaking it down like this, and what I'm looking at is short. So remember, in the key gamma strike list, Snowflake had that double whammy. So I'm definitely bearish with the key gamma strike continuing to drop, indicating that traders' sentiment continues to be bearish. They're looking for lower prices. Let's go back to Hero now. So I'm looking for any opportunity to enter short. Change that rolling window. So here I see a little bit of a divergence set up. And remember that that trend break lower at 125 is what I was looking at for the entry point. So watching this carefully on a shorter look back period, I see that traders start selling calls. So they had been buying calls and they start selling calls before price reverses lower, and then it looks like it takes this block trade in puts, the blue line, traders buying puts, and then finally price starts to drop lower. Let's just change this. Go to total, back to the 1 day. And overall, for the entire day, there is a strong correlation between options trades, market maker hedging activity, and price action. And here is that block trade in puts. So traders buying puts. So that's another example of how this process can work. So again, looking at the key gamma strike as some kind of initial clue for your directional bias, and then doing further investigation. And let's just take a look at Equity Hub for Snowflake. So for the last 3 days, key gamma strike has dropped, and then today the hedge wall dropped, and actually there was an increase in the put wall. So overall, my directional bias was bearish based on this key gamma strike. And let me just show this is what I posted this morning in chat. I think around 9:45 is when I posted it. And notice Snowflake at the top of this list. So there's the second indication. After the market opens, that you're going to be looking for a bearish entry, the weak hero signal. And this is what I'm looking at for Snowflake. And that is showing the hero signal is the weakest that it has been in the last 30 days, and that is this entire range, and also in the last 5 days, and that's the colored portion. And maybe that's a little bit easier to see here in NVIDIA, this faint gray, that is the entire range, and then the colored portion is the last 5 days. So Snowflake near the top of the list, only behind Shopify, and I prefer to trade Snowflake. I'd like to trade stocks with a little bit higher price. So there was another clue. So again, the Keygamma strike list, do further investigation in Equity Hub, and then after the open you see the weak signal here, and at that point then you're just looking at the hero line on one chart and Bookmap on the other, waiting for a short entry. And oops, Snowflake was again on the other computer, so it's over here. Short entry, trend break, shift from green dots to pink dots, and the 120 liquidity target. And if you were fast, you could have caught this drop right at the open. And then finally, let's take a look at Tesla. So I'm going to go look at, and actually I do want to look at a couple of others really quickly. So let's go to the dashboard now. Get rid of that. Take a look at Tesla. And what I want to show here is another example of when to change the look back period. And notice how hero seems to have basically flatlined here, and that is because it again is showing the cumulative effect of transactions for hero for the entire day. And when you see something like this, it's just not giving much information, and you can change the rolling window to a shorter look back period to provide more information. And let's shift it down. And this is pretty typical of Tesla, showing almost a one-to-one correlation between price action and options trades. Now I found a 10-minute look back period on Tesla is pretty choppy. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Let's go to Tesla. So here was the short setup in this morning, worth a couple of points almost, down to the 107 liquidity, and then the reversal higher. So there were better setups than Tesla today. And I have a couple of quick guest appearances today from a couple of stocks that I don't normally look at, but I want to look at Boeing and Nike really quick. So I'm shifting now this stock screener to show the entire list of stocks that supported by Hero. First one I want to look at is Boeing, and it has been pretty strong the last couple of days. And notice the weak Hero signal, and I guess that's compared to recent days where it's been stronger. But so Boeing's in play, and traders have been, in the morning they were buying calls, and that was driving price higher. They were selling puts too, but it looks like mainly calls driving here. And now let's take a look. And this is on my other computer, and there's Boeing. So a move higher from 201 to initially about 203.50, and then prices jumped higher after the Fed comments up to the liquidity at 204. And then finally Nike. And a nice move higher in Nike this morning. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. Where's it? I'm going to go back, start off with the 1-day look back period. Scroll down here to Nike. And I'm just looking for stocks that are in the price range that I like to trade, that are in play. And Nike is another one. In this case, it looks like puts were driving. So traders not doing much with calls. That's the orange line. But they were selling puts this morning, and price was moving higher. And there's Nike. Nice move higher in the morning from around 120.50 all the way up to over 122. Okay, that is all I had. So this morning, a couple of great setups in the S&P 500, long and short, and in a very news-driven market, and then good setups, I thought, in Microsoft and Snowflake, again in line with the thesis that that you could have developed by looking at the key gamma strike, equity hub, and the signal in Hero, and then finally Hero itself, and also of course the order flow and Bookmap. So that's all I have today. Thanks for your questions and comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Again, remember, employment situation at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So again, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.